Yeah, we'll start with me, and then I might switch to Jennifer, and I'll try to switch to try to better my internet connection. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Michael Myers Show. Today is going to be a super cool show. I'm very excited what I have in store for you. We are going to be interviewing a special guest who's all the way in Israel. Israel is called the Startup Nation. It is a huge tech scene over there. And the individual who we are going to be interviewing, his name is Hillel Fuld, is an extremely well-known blogger, social media guy, tech startup advisor. And the topic of the conversation is going to be about how to stand above the noise and differentiate yourself. So hang on for 2 minutes and we're going to be right with you. Going to work on bettering the internet connection. So for all of you guys who are waiting here, please hang on tight. Hello, guys. Are we back and am I live? Okay. Am I good? Do you guys see me? Okay, fantastic. So everybody, thank you for bearing on live, and we're going to start the show. Brandon, you want to run the loop? Let's run the loop. And let's jump in. Yes. All right. So we're going to start the show over, guys, for you. I hope you're seeing me better. We're having some technical difficulties today, which is wild because we're having Mr. Tech on the show today. But let's jump into this. Today, we are going to be discussing how to differentiate yourself from the crowd, how to stand out in this noisy world that we live in. We are going to be interviewing a top tech blogger, advisor, social media advocate. This guy's extremely well-known, extremely intelligent, very funny, and we're going to have a rocking show for you today. So hang on tight as we transfer to Israel and go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I got all this headache here. My teacher is it still like clapping? Because I'm plugged in. I'm not doing direct. Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to thank you so much for joining us in the show today. It is a special show. We have on the show with us today, Hillel Fuld. Hillel Fuld, are you there?
I am indeed. And you pronounced my name perfectly. I got to say, I'm very impressed.
How do people usually say your name? How do they get it wrong?
I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all. You have no idea.
Well, I'm glad that I got your name wrong. So far we have one correct thing going on in this show. We may have tech issues, but I got the name down. So thank you so much for getting on the show. I'll give a little bit of an introduction. First of all, I met Hillel through the great world of Snapchat. I was looking for people to connect with who were giving advice. There we go. Because one of the things I love using Snapchat for is going online, getting personal with people, and getting advice from them. And while searching through the world of Snapchat, I found Hillel. And a lot of people, I don't know what cloud, what rock I was hiding under, because Hillel is extremely well known, has a huge following. I began to watch him there, and also realized everybody knew him except me. So Hillel does a lot of things, including advising tech startup companies, and he just does a lot of stuff on social media. Is a really fun guy to watch. But I'm going to butcher introducing him because he does so much great, cool stuff. Hillel, would you mind giving everyone a little brief introduction to who you are, what you do, what you're about?
Absolutely. So actually what I'm about and what I do is directly connected to the topic that we're talking about today. But real quick, the couple of hats that I wear. Hat number one, as you said, is tech blogger. So I cover the tech scene, my own blog, techandmarketing.com. I cover the Israeli tech scene on TechCrunch and Business Insider, HuffPo, The Next Web, VentureBeat, and several other leading tech publications. So that's kind of hat number one. Hat number two is I'm working with a whole bunch of nice leading Israeli startups in really all spaces, from consumer to enterprise to AI to you name it, at all different stages. So that's kind of the official advisory role that I have, but I also spend a whole lot of time, again, very much connected to what we're going to be talking about, helping companies in any way I can, for nothing, no compensation. I don't want anything. And that often gets weird looks like, why are you helping me for free? But we'll talk about that. That's hat number two, startup advisor. Hat number three is I have my own startup called Zcast, which is in the podcasting space. I'm a co-founder, and my other co-founder is in Arizona, actually. And so we're trying to disrupt, I hate that word, but I'd say remove the barrier to podcasting. I'm sure you guys know podcasting, it's an astronomical market, but it's never been more difficult to podcast. If I want to talk to my friend in LA and talk to my other friend in San Francisco and, just simply have an audio conversation, you'd think it'd be super easy. It's not. So Zcast removes that barrier. That's the next hat. And as a result of all my activity with startups and my writing, everything I do, so I built a pretty substantial following online across the different platforms. And so I work with some leading tech brands as and again, a word that I hate, an influencer, but whatever the heck that means. But I work with, DJI, I work with Huawei, and Apple sends me stuff to review, and I work with Google and Facebook and Microsoft in all different capacities, everyone in their own needs. But yeah, I'm having a good time, really. That's the most important thing. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, fantastic. First of all, for anybody who's watching this show, if you have any questions throughout the show for us, for Hillel, please add it in the comments. And if you're watching the show on the replay, you're watching this on Facebook Live later, or wherever you may find this, please make sure to ask questions. Come back to Facebook, ask questions there, because this is a conversation that will continue for long into the future past this show. So please keep that in mind, and thank you for watching. I also want to introduce Jennifer. Jennifer works with me at Meyer. She's here. She will be there to, ask the questions that people may ask below. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us in the show today and co-hosting this with me. So Hillel, the question I have for you is, we're in the real estate space over here. And in the real estate space, there's literally in some markets more real estate agents than there are actually properties that sell. And what I thought was so relevant in having you on the show is similar to the tech scene now, which is very cluttered, and everybody's trying to get into tech, of course, you know this, and even in social media, and everybody's trying to do something in social media. You yourself have managed to differentiate yourself. I mean, I found you, right? I didn't know you before, and I found you, and obviously you're doing smart things, and you must have intention behind what you're doing. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you got into this social media space, and kind of the evolution of your particular style that got you to where you are.
Sure. So, I think I'm going to actually coin a term that I don't think has been coined before. I'm going to call it either sucker marketing or value add marketing, and I'll explain what I'm talking about in a second. But, I'm not saying that I've achieved any form of success, but whatever form of success I've achieved took many, many, many years of no ROI, a lot of investment on my end. So now as a result, but let's rewind 10 years, and I'm sitting at my first job as a technical writer at a company called Comverse, with an M, not the shoes. These guys invented voicemail. And I was a technical writer, and for those that are unaware or unfamiliar with that position or that kind of job, it's the guys who write the user guides that you get with your iPhone that no one ever reads. So I was that guy. I wrote those documents. And I'm, right out of college. It was a huge tech company. It was a good opportunity, but again, boring as anything. But I'm sitting at my desk 10 years ago or more, and I'm like, I love tech. I love writing, but I don't want to be writing user guides. And I literally just started blogging. I think, it was before the word blog was a thing, before it was a word. And I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, this is a tech diary. I don't care who reads it. I don't care if anyone reads it, but I'm passionate about tech. I'm going to start writing. And I'm writing my thoughts about tech every single day, day in, day out. And of course, then came the questions. Everyone around me is like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not monetizing this? Like, you're just writing for the sake of writing. And I'm like, I don't know what my end game is here, but I'll tell you, my end game is not making, $1 CPM from clicks on my ads on my blog. That's not my, that's not what I want to be when I grow up. Now, again, I didn't know what my end game was. Had you asked me back then, all right, you don't know your end game, but what's your dream? What do you hope to accomplish? I probably would have said to you that one day I want to be able to facilitate a relationship and cultivate a relationship with people like Steve Wozniak and Mark Andreessen, the people who formed the world of technology, built the first computer with their own hands, who invented the web browser, legends like that. I had absolutely no idea I was going to get from point A to point B. So I'm writing my blog every day, and sure enough, really quickly started building up an organic audience because A, there wasn't that much competition, but more importantly, I was simplifying things, which is what I did as a technical writer. You take complex things and you simplify them. And so I had my kind of unique tone and started, building up an audience, and then startups started to reach out. And here's where it got interesting. Startups would reach out and they'd say, I read your article about trends in technology. I'd love to have lunch. And I'd be like, sure, let's have lunch. And I'd sit with the startup and I'd ask them about their pitch. They'd pitch me and I'd quickly explain to them why that was the worst pitch I've ever heard in my life. And then I'd ask them, who are your competitors? And they'd say, I have none. And I'd explain to them who their competitors are. And then I'd say, what's your go-to-market? And they'd say a TechCrunch post. And I'd explain to them why they're ridiculous. And helping startups, just literally day in, day out, meeting a startup, helping them in any way I can. And it got to the point that, he would tell his friend, and I was bombarded with startups would reach out. And then I said to myself, how did this all happen, right? These startups are reaching out and saying to me, I'm launching a product. I'm told I need to meet you. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell told you that? Where did this come from? And then I realized it came from my writing. Like I just, with my 10 fingers, started writing about tech and I became this authority. And I'm like, this is a powerful message. And so I said, I'm going to go all in on strategy. Like I said, started writing for all these leading publications. And then sure enough, it did start to scale. What ended up happening was that I still had no business model. Let me just be very clear here. I wasn't making money here. And if I was getting questions about blogging why I wasn't monetizing, you can imagine that those questions were multiplied when I was actually spending time meeting startups and giving them, real practical advice that was actually leading sometimes to deals worth millions of dollars. And I'm not taking a dime. People thought I was smoking crack. But what happened really quickly was that I helped some of these companies so much that they came back to me and they said to me, listen, you've done really amazing things for us. You got us endless coverage in the press. You've gotten us a deal with, this enterprise or that company or whatever. You've helped us kind of crystallize our message. Please join us as an advisor, take equity in the company, or join us in a more active role and take, a retainer in the company. And so, that just kind of happened time and, over and over and over again. And what ended up happening, basically, I'm skipping to the end now, over the last 10 years, is that I've built what a very large fund of funds, a big investor who invests in VCs, said to me a couple of months ago. What I've done is I basically built a VC without money because I have a portfolio of some phenomenal companies that I have a nice percentage of without spending a dime. And so, I'll just give you one example. My most recent advisory is a company, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, is Flipboard, right? This company's valued at, I don't know if it's $1 billion or a little more than $1 billion, a little under $1 billion, but it obviously, 100 million users and a very, very, very popular company in Palo Alto. I love Flipboard. I love Mike. I love Marcy. I love the team. I love the app. So over the years, I've just really genuinely wanted to give them value. And so I flew out to Silicon Valley to see their next product. I spoke to the team. I made introductions for them. I was a power user. I use their app hours every day just because I love it and just kind of provided value in any way I can. I didn't want or expect or dream of getting anything from them. Sure enough, a couple of weeks ago, Mike, the CEO, sends me an email and says, I know you wouldn't ask for this. I know you don't expect this, but we would be honored to have you as an advisor and we'd love to give you stock in the company. And I was like, right? So basically now I'm at 17, 18 companies where I'm an advisor, some for stock and equity and some for a retainer, depending how active I am. But the reality is that I never once came to a company and said, give me, ever, literally ever. What I did was I came to a company and I said, here, take. And then I said, take some more. And then I said, take some more. And then when they expected me to say, okay, now give, I said, here, take some more. And a lot of times I get looks like, are you insane? Like, why are you literally closing, financing $5 million where people take 5% and you're not taking a dime? What's wrong with you? I sat with a company the other day, a couple of weeks ago, that raised $50 million from one of the top VCs in Israel. Amazing company. I'm not going to mention their name. And I sat with them on their marketing strategy and, the VP marketing and gave her some insights and whatever it was. And she's like, oh, let's set up a meeting with the founder. I'd love, you to like communicate to him what you communicate to me. And I'm like, sure, no problem. And she's like, all right, well, what's your price? And I'm like, that's not my business model. I have no price. She's like, what do you mean? You're going to sit with us for 2 hours and have a brainstorming session about our entire marketing strategy? You're not going to charge us? And I'm like, that's right. She thought I was nuts. She thought I was absolutely nuts. The reality is that, my latest blog, my second to latest blog post was an article called Why Being a Sucker is the Best Thing You Can Do in Business. It built my career. And literally, in Israel, by the way, it's a very strong part of the culture is not to be what's called in Hebrew a friar, which means a sucker, which means doing something without getting anything in return. And I've just been that sucker for 10 years, but in reality, what I was doing was building a brand and differentiating myself. And now it came back in spades. And again, I'm not saying I'm some kind of, hotshot, but I am saying that when Wozniak came to Israel for 24 hours, we had breakfast and I interviewed him. And he's a friend. Mark Andreessen I speak to probably once every couple of weeks, and I send him deals, and he writes me unbelievable stuff. He's him and Ben Andreessen Horowitz, if you're not your probably top VC in the world or one of them. We're going back and forth. They're giving me book recommendations, and it's kind of surreal. Here I am in Israel talking to the guys who literally he invented the web browser. I mean, this guy, like, we didn't have access to the internet before him. It's wild, And who the hell am I? The answer is when everyone else around Mark Andreessen is pitching him and selling him, and I'm like, dude, I want to interview you. I want to spotlight you. I don't want anything from you. He's like, sure, So I interviewed him and published that on VentureBeat, and that was the beginning of my relationship with him. But the answer is, and here's where it comes down to like what we're talking about here. The answer is that too many companies, too many individuals are focused on sales, and not enough people and companies are focused on value add and on being a resource and being objectively valuable to the ecosystem, thereby differentiating themselves. And the extreme example, by the way, and then I'm going to shut up and let you talk a little. The extreme example, if you look at, I don't know if you drink Red Bull. Do you drink Red Bull?
Yeah, I do from time to time. I mean, not whatever when I want it.
First of all, I'm very, very sorry, but it's not a very good product. I think most people would agree it's not a very good product, but those same people would agree that there are not many brands out there that are stronger than Red Bull. What's interesting is that if you go to redbull.com, you'll notice very quickly that there's a single word missing from their website that you'd think would be the first word you'd see there, which is beverage or drink. They're not selling a beverage or a drink. What are they selling? They're selling jumping out of planes. They're selling energy. They're selling
wings. When you asked me about Red Bull, I don't actually remember when the last time I had a Red Bull is, but I do remember when I went to the Red Bull show when they were in Jersey, right near Manhattan, and I was invited, and they had all these like a flight crazy stunt show. So when you say Red Bull, I'm like, I love Red Bull. But I don't remember when the last one I had one.
That's exactly the point, though. That you just nailed it, by the way. That was exactly the point. So, now in retrospect, we look at Red Bull, we're like, oh, they're a multi-trillion-dollar brand. Of course, it's so cool. But you have to understand that however many years ago that CMO walked into the CEO's office and said, listen, we're going to stop selling Red Bull on the site. We're going to sell dreams. We're going to sell content. We're going to sell experiences. And the CEO probably looked at him like he was smoking crack. And he agreed to take that long-term play and have that vision. And now we see that it cashed out on that. And of course, there are very extreme examples. I'm not saying every real estate agent can be the Red Bull, but that is the same philosophy.
So let me ask you a question about this, right? So, there's a lot of people out there nowadays who are successful, not a lot, but like people like Gary Vee who are going out there who are talking about giving and giving and giving and giving, right? And it's a philosophy that I obviously prescribe to. I do these shows, we give out value, I don't get anything in return, but the big question I get people asking me a lot is, Michael, we give, and we need to make money, and we're nervous about giving and not focusing on the quick close. We're worried about not making the cold call and just saying, are you looking to sell, but giving information. How did you deal with that mentally, philosophically, because it's a long game. And I just wonder how your head works in that way.
All right, the two things to say. Number one, in terms of Gary, I just want to give him a shout out here because he talks a big game. But I just want to tell you that I reached out to Gary a couple of years ago. I was doing a summit in New York on the messaging space, and I DM'd Gary, and I'm like, Gary, I'd love it if you'd come. I had interviewed him before on my blog, and I reached out and said, Gary, I'd love it if you come keynote the event. And like he charges $50K to come keynote an event, and he's like, done. And he emailed his assistant. He goes, waive the fee for Hillel. He came for free. He keynoted. The thing was sold out. He lives that. He doesn't just talk it. So that's number one. Number two, I'm gonna push back on that question. I think the people that are asking that question haven't really tried it. That's what I think. I think instead of thinking about, well, when am I going to cash out? How about you just start getting into giving mode? Start. And I'm not, if in 2 years from now, I'm giving, forget the number I'm saying, but whatever that cutoff point is, you're not seeing some return, then maybe you're doing something wrong. But if you're going into the giving mode, thinking about how you're going to take, then it's fundamentally flawed. And so Yeah, it's a long game. There's no question it's a long game. No one's gonna tell you it's a short game, but that's how you win, right? Everybody else is taking the short game. You play the long game. I don't know if you read Tools of Titans, Tim Ferriss's new book. Highly recommend it.
But I have it on my list.
It's phenomenal. So I literally walk around with some of the pages, like pictures of the pages in my iPhone. I'm not kidding. And I read it pretty much every day. I'll tell you why. So there's this one chapter called The Canvas Strategy. So for those who are unfamiliar, Tools of Titans, he interviews, stars in 3 different verticals: health, wealth, and wisdom. And in between the interviews, he injects his own insights. And so there's this one chapter called The Canvas Strategy where he quotes Ryan Holiday, I think. And he talks about the way to do business today is to build canvases for others to succeed, for others to paint on, is to pave the road for others to succeed, and literally take yourself out of the equation. He says, imagine if for every person you met, all that you thought about was, how do I help this person? But literally not, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. How do I help this person? He says, what would happen? Number 1, you build a reputation of being indispensable. Number 2, you build amazing relationships. Number 3, you learn how to overcome challenges because you'd be helping people. And number 4, you have an enormous bank of favors to call upon down the road. At the end of the day, when everyone else is, going for the short-term gain, you need to trade that short-term gain for the long-term payoff. And it works. And it absolutely works. I think the sentence that he said in the Canvas Strategy, which is just brilliance. He says, when everyone else is, looking for credit, you should defer the credit, and at the end, you'll gain the credit. Everyone, what's the sentence? Hold on a second. It'll come back to me. It says, you defer and earn credit on the principle. He says, you don't worry about credit, don't worry about respect. That will come. Everyone else is worried about the short-term gain, and that is exactly how you differentiate yourself. By the way, I'm not naive in saying you shouldn't be doing sales, you shouldn't be doing user acquisition, you shouldn't be doing business. You should. But in reality, you play basketball?
Yeah, not as much as you probably.
No, I don't play that much, unfortunately.
We're like both Jewish men talking about basketball.
So, you know what an alley-oop is, though, right?
Yes, I know.
All right. So an alley-oop, for those unfamiliar, one player chucks the ball up in the air, the other guy catches it and dunks. Now, the guy could have taken the ball and dunked it himself, but instead he elevated the ball into the air. The other guy caught it and dunked it. It's just so much prettier, right? So where am I going with this? The answer is, you could take the ball and dunk it. You can go for your user acquisition. You can pick up the phone and make sales. I'm not saying not to do that. It might work. But if you elevate your brand so much that when I come across your ad on Facebook, I've already been reading your blog for 6 months. I've been watching your show for 6 months. Or you tweeted me yesterday a nice funny GIF on Twitter. Whatever it is. Now I come across your ad, slam dunk. You spent the time elevating your brand, and that is how you differentiate yourself. So, yes, it's a long game, definitely a long game. But, as Gary always says, people say to him, why do you give away your secrets? He says, because no one's going to listen to me. They might listen, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to execute. And it's true. People are lazy, and people, I'm telling you, I give this whole spiel to like startups every day. For every one startup that implements it, I have 500 of them that just like nod their head. They get it. They love it. They're inspired. But they never actually do it because it's hard, So the answer is continue doing your business, continue doing your sales, but elevate your brand.
One of the things that that I've come to experience even in my own, personal development as a human being and as a business is that if you actually enjoy, are interested in the content that you're sharing, you don't ask yourself that question too much about giving it away for free because you like it, you like talking about it, right? So I don't ever think to myself when I'm, I do a lot of stuff, real estate agents, teaching them how to grow a business and how to do marketing and, how to deal with lead gen and just how to negotiate, all this kind of stuff. I don't say to myself, oh, I'm teaching a real estate agent how to do lead gen and somehow that's going to I'm doing it for free or it's going to hurt me. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy sharing information with someone and watching them grow. It just is enjoyable for me, So it doesn't really cost me much in that way. But if you wanted me to go talk about something I'm not really interested in, I'd be like, you got to pay me for that because I don't want to really do it. And so maybe if someone's asking themselves that question, maybe they're just not really, maybe they should be going to do something else, Don't give advice.
There's no question that the foundation of this entire philosophy is passion, right? If you're chasing money and you're in tech or in real estate because you think it's a good return, literally just, go home. It's not going to work, right? But if you're passionate about what you're doing, whether it's tech or real estate, again, if you love something, then writing about it, generating content about it is something that is second nature because you love it anyway. And so, you build that brand by, it doesn't even, by the way, I don't even want to talk about generating content, right? Forget blogging, forget podcasting, forget video, forget a show like this. That's high barrier. Most people can't do that. All right, granted. How hard is it though just open Twitter and search for certain keywords. And when someone asks a question to which you have an answer, to answer them, right? That takes no energy. It takes 4 seconds. That's easy value that you can give, right? Or whatever it is. There's a million different examples. So, people say I'm not a good writer, so then hire a student who is a good writer. Whatever. There's, if you want to find, excuses, you could. At the end of the day, though, your company should be focused long term on giving and not taking.
Yeah. One of the questions that I got asked, and this is specifically about the tech scene, is, but I think it'll apply to anything, is what do you see as a synergy between company and individual? Because I assume you're advising a lot of companies, you're talking to a lot of individuals, boardrooms of individuals, companies asking for advice. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
It's a good question, honestly. I don't think there's any, I'm going to translate your question to my world, which is the question I get a lot. If I don't have endless resources as a startup, should I open up a Twitter account for me or should I open a Twitter account for the company? That's a really good question. And in an ideal world, you got both. In an ideal world, you have, the Robert Scoble on the one hand and the Rackspeed. He was at Rackspeed, now he's not at Rackspeed anymore, or Upload VR, right? You got Robert Scoble and Upload VR, and they kind of complement each other, right? Or on a smaller scale, you got HelloFold and you got Zcast, right? So that's the ideal. Now, again, not every startup has those resources. So I think probably somewhere in the middle, I would say, is to have a company Twitter account, but with a very personal tone, so that it's approachable, accessible, and doesn't feel like it's, unapproachable to your end user or your target audience. That also has to be done within, limitations. In other words, you don't want to be too personal, obviously. That's what makes it professional at the end of the day, that subjective, that hunch, that feeling that this is over the board, this is overboard, this is not overboard, that kind of thing. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think you should have a company account with a personal touch.
And let's say let's ask you from a company perspective, right? From, let's say, a brokerage perspective, right? So in my brokerage, we're very embracing, obviously, of social media. It's something that we advise our agents to spend a lot of time doing. And like you said, give, share value, build your tribe, those kinds of things. I find that a lot of other brokerage companies, sometimes they don't want their agents to do too much. They're a little bit worried, or they don't maybe share their agents' content so much because, I don't know, there's almost this like huge difference between the company and the people in it or something like that. And I wonder, in your world, in the tech world, you're dealing with a lot of startup companies where I assume people have to work really, really closely together to do things. Do you usually find a big synergy between the social media outputs of individuals in a company and the owners and the company accounts and all that kind of stuff?
So I definitely, am dealing with this question a lot in tech, whether you want to highlight your employees, whatever it is. And, a lot of times companies don't do that. And I think it's a huge mistake. I think, by the way, let's step away from, I'm going to broaden the question a little bit. I think social media, first of all, I hate that term with a passion. I'll tell you why. It's like an internal paradox, right? What's social? Social is two-way. And what's media? It's broadcast. So like, what is it? Two-way or one-way? It's a bad term, but at the end of the day, we're talking social. It's about people. And so, those companies that are like basically glorified bots and all they do all day long is share links. It's pointless. Just like shut down your Twitter account and go home. Like, what are you doing? Twitter and all these other platforms are about highlighting people. And so, if you're starting a blog, for example, yeah, it's a long-term play, but here's some short-term, low-hanging fruit that you can quote unquote hack, right? Why don't you do an interview a week with an industry leader? Spotlight them, What happens? By the way, I think interviews are the most brilliant, secret weapon in marketing. And I'll tell you why. And I've interviewed ridiculously unbelievable people that in my wildest dreams I never thought I'd have access to. Let me tell you what happened. Let's say Mark Andreessen, for argument's sake, whatever, let's just use him as an example. So I reach out to Mark and I'm like, he followed me on Twitter and I'm like, Mark, I'd like to interview you. Now again, Mark is bombarded with sales pitches all day long. And he comes along this guy, Hillel. He's like, I want to spotlight you. I don't want anything from you. I want to make you the man. Right now, again, let's be honest. Mark Andreessen doesn't need my traffic, right? But I would imagine, I don't know what was going on in his head, but I would imagine that was a refreshing thing to hear someone that and he agreed right away. So in a second and a half, literally 140 characters, I just established a relationship with someone. That's perk number one of interviewing someone. Perk number two, as soon as you hit publish on that interview, what's the first thing that Alyssa Milano, right, the actress, when I interviewed her, what's the first thing she did as soon as I hit publish? Of course, she tweeted it to her 4 million followers, right? So my traffic went through the roof. My blog crashed and melted basically. So I just established a relationship and I just got a ridiculous amount of traffic. What's the third thing that happens? Who is everyone around me that sees me sharing this interview with Steve Wozniak? What do they think? Holy crap, who's this Hillel guy? Interviewed Steve Wozniak, the founder of Apple. So I just gave myself, I validated myself. I gave myself credibility. Writing that interview took me 8 minutes. So 8 minutes of investment, and I got a relationship with a star. I got endless traffic, and I got unbelievable credibility in 8 minutes. I mean, what kind of ROI can be better than that? So it's like a short-term hack, right? But at the end of the day, at the core, what is it? It's highlighting people. So I'm all for highlighting people, whether it's internal or external. Here's another one. This is gold, right? If I'm starting a blog right now, what's the biggest challenge? To get discovered, to get traffic, right? Now, let's say my first post is 100 of the leading authorities in the intersection between tech and real estate, right? Let's say on your blog, you now make a list of 100 people. What is each one of those 100 people going to do as soon as you hit publish? They're going to send it to their mom, and they're going to tweet the hell out of that article. Because let me tell you something. No matter how famous this person is, no matter how popular they are, no matter how much of a celebrity, everyone has their mom that they want to send that article to. Everyone does. You got to play on that ego. So you highlight 100 people, 100 people are going to share that article, and your traffic can go through the roof. But what's at the core? Highlighting people. So those that write content just for the sake of writing content, they're on Twitter just for the sake of being on Twitter, it's just ridiculous. Stop, breathe, think about it. It's social. Highlight people. It's all about the people.
Yeah. So one of the things I was speaking a couple months ago at Inman, which is a real estate technology conference, and I was talking about this show, the Michael Meyer Show, and the title of the slide was Joint Social Ventures. And basically, that's really what this show does, right? I interview awesome people like you. I get fortunate enough that people like you who have a lot of things that they could do with their time are spending their time here, and talking to the audience here. And what do I get out of it? Well, first of all, probably the biggest thing I get out of it is I get to learn to have a conversation with you, and I get 30 minutes of your time now. I don't care anyone's there or not. I just learned. So I get something right out of it right away where if I just called you and said, hey, talk to me on the phone for 30 minutes, that might be more of a challenge, right? So number one, I personally get a lot of information out of just talking to my guests. Number two is I get you on the show. Same thing like you were saying, credibility, because, hey, you're on the show. Why is he on my show? Obviously, good people are on the show. Maybe this is a show we should watch. Who is this guy, Michael Meyer? What's his company, Meyer Real Estate? Blah, blah, blah. And then thirdly, you're on the show. Now people are Googling your name, or maybe it gets shared on your social profile. Once again, people get back to the show and they get involved and they get to see what's there. And from there, people can branch out and can learn more and more and more and more. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal thing. And what's great about the show is also that people then come to expect it. People usually, we have this show Thursdays at 4:30. Sometimes we have awesome guests like you who are in Israel in a completely different time zone. So we do it at 12:30 in the afternoon. But people expect it to be coming every single week. And it's just been it's been something that's driven a lot of traffic our way and a lot of really great conversations and advice. So first of all, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing all this.
I just want to tell you, dude, I just left an Independence Day barbecue for you, man.
Oh man. Oh, I gotta pull something out over here.
I'm just saying, man, it's serious stuff. I didn't just, spend 30 minutes of my time. I left a barbecue, and I'm a carnivore.
Here we go. Right there.
Love it.
Right there. So for those of you who are watching this show who don't know, today is Israel's Independence Day, and it is in the honor of Israel's Independence Day that we had this awesome show, and we're broadcasting from Israel. This is the first show where we've interviewed someone in Israel. So pretty phenomenal that happened today. And so, yes, happy Independence Day to you. And I'm sure it is wild and crazy right now in Israel. Parties galore.
I'm going to give a little shout out to this same place called Israel. I'm going to give a little shout out. Can I do that?
Please.
This country is the size of New Jersey. It's a tiny little microscopic dot on the map, right? We're surrounded by neighbors who don't love us very much. We say that. And we've been around for only 69 years. I mean, no one in their right mind would debate the fact that Israel is a tech superpower across all verticals of technology, whether it's automotive, whether it's enterprise or cybersecurity, whatever it is. And we're either first in the world or second to Silicon Valley. In many instances, Silicon Valley is leading, but more entrepreneurs in Israel per capita than any other country in the world. And we're number 2 or 3 on NASDAQ, depending on who you ask. But in any case, we're it's a tech superpower, and that's kind of crazy. And in many ways, I view Israel, the state of Israel, as the world's best startup.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's also, I was just talking to agents here in my company when I was talking about the show that we were going to have, is that also in Israel, because of the ambition of so many of the Israelis that they want to build businesses and grow, and that's the mentality. It's fiercely competitive in that way because everyone around you, you want to get maybe people to come and work with you, for you, whatever it may be, but everybody wants to build their own company at the same time, which is very much like the real estate brokerage world as well. And in the brokerage world in Israel is fiercely competitive too. I was at an event a couple of days ago. Tom Ferry's a big real estate coach. He'll be on the show soon. And he was talking about how he went to go to give a presentation in Israel. He goes there from time to time. And he was like, if you guys think it's rough here in the States to be a real estate agent, you have no idea how difficult it is in Israel, where everyone wants to try to sell their own home. Nobody wants a real estate broker. Nobody even thinks to use a real estate broker. It was really, really funny. And I was like, I know.
Yep.
So
it's an amazing country, though. It really is an amazing country. But I mean, I'm from New York originally. Moved here when I was younger. But I'll tell you, in terms of tech, there's just nothing like it. The level of energy and innovation in this country is just off the charts.
Fantastic. Well, I hope to have other people from Israel on the show. Hillel, once again, thank you so much. Hillel, if anybody wants to connect with you, learn from you, grow with you, where can they find you? Where should they look you up? Tell people how to connect with you.
So my online kind of screen name everywhere is HILZ. That's zebra, like Hills, FULD. That's my Twitter. That's my Snapchat. That's my everything. Hillsful. Instead of Hillelful, mom always called me Hills. So Hillsful. HILZFULD. Just ping me anywhere and you'll see that you'll get a response in 24/6 because I'm offline for the Sabbath. But other than that, you'll get an answer pretty much right away on all, assuming you're not a spammer. There's too many of those, but I guess that has something to do with what we're talking about. Everyone plays the short game. If you're gonna play the long game and you reach out and be like, listen, I saw the show, love to connect, you'll get a response right away.
Fantastic. Hillel, thank you so much. Thank you for giving, continuing to give. It's an amazing day. It's an amazing day for Israel. It's an amazing day for the world. It's an amazing day for real estate agents to have you on our show. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for joining in on the Michael Myers Show. Questions, ask them below. Most of the juice is in the replay. So please, if you're watching this in the replay, please ask questions, interact with us. We want to help you grow. Thank you so much. Jennifer, once again, thank you so much for being here and helping us put this show together. Everybody, have yourselves a great day and happy Independence Day to Israel. See you later. Bye, everybody.